Hello and welcome to day 16 of our 30-day challenge. Today we are going to talk all about vision boards. And this is where we can use some of the things that you wrote down that you deserve a couple of days ago when you did that I deserve list. So in that list, we talked about wealth and health and career and all of that, right? Personal was a general kind of topic, which you may have chosen to break down into several different categories. So now you are free to take some of those things and visually represent them on a vision board. So the reason we bother with doing a vision board at all is so that we can take our actual thoughts, the things that we want and our goals that we have in order to be able to reach all of those goals, to get those things that we actually want and now we know we deserve. We need to be able to look at them on a regular basis, remind ourselves what the goal is. And I know for some people that might seem a little bit silly, but for others, you know exactly what I'm talking about. How easy is it to forget what the reason is, what the purpose is of you doing something, right? So for example, doing our New Year's resolutions, even if the ultimate goal is to lose weight and get fit and healthy so that you can play with your kids or your grandkids or something along those lines, that's the ultimate goal. And to do it, you've got to start exercising and start eating better and smaller portions and whatever. And so you kind of get lost in there. I equate it to labor. When a woman is going through labor to be able to deliver her child, she gets so wrapped up in the pain of the labor and having to focus on everything she needs to do. It's so all-encompassing that she forgets that there's a purpose for it and that there is actually going to be the reward of having the baby at the end. So you can tackle this in a few different ways. So the two main ways that I have done a vision board before is, one, I have gone through a bunch of magazines and I have cut out different pictures that represent the ultimate goal that I want or the smaller step goal that I need to reach in order to get to that ultimate. And I glue them all down on a large piece of paper and I just make it as large as I want. And back then when I was doing that, I would just use some sticky tape or glue tack and I would just put it on my wall as is. So I literally would just tape together a bunch of pieces of paper and I would make it as big as I needed to. Now I usually do it with the computer and I just grab pictures off the internet, I put it all together, I decide what size I want and I actually get a picture frame and I put it inside the frame and I have it in my office because that's where I spend the majority of my time and I have it actually behind the computer screen so that I can see it every single day. So without actually having to put the effort in to think about what it is that I want to achieve and why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, by just looking at it, I remind myself of those things in a split second. So let's look at a couple of versions of mine, shall we? I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint of something that I have shared before as part of my Survivor to Warrior coaching program. And it is also part of my course, Moving Forward After Abuse. So I will just expand my picture here. There you go, so you can still see me. So this is the slide that I have to represent a vision board that I had that was very generalized, if you will, for 2017. And so you'll see on here, I've got a lot of different things. And this is one where I actually cut out a whole bunch of pictures because it just felt more creative at the time. And I didn't bother to actually frame this one. I just put it up on my wall with glue tack. So I was engaged at the time, so I was focused on getting married. And so this whole left-hand side was all about the wedding and the honeymoon and how spectacular I wanted that to be. Over on this right-hand side was a mixture of things. So I really wanted to focus on having more of a work-life balance and spending more time with my family. and making sure that my family was happy. Now, I was a teacher in 2017. I was a science teacher, secondary school science teacher, and I was very stressed, and I knew that I wasn't happy doing what I was doing. And so I was really looking to make a shift. So I'd actually started Life Like You Mean It already. And I was really just using it as a blog, a platform for me to speak out about abuse. So I wasn't doing as much of the work that I do now, of course, because I didn't have as much time for that. But I wanted to increase that. So I wanted to put in some speaking opportunities. So that's what the microphone represented for me. You can't see some of the wording in here, but it was important to me to help others. And so I had created a workshop called Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. So that was at the core there. So that's why I put that there. I put the picture of myself, not because I forget what I look like, but because that was my headshot and I was using that for the business. So for me, that represented the business really nicely. And from that business, I wanted to make sure that, of course, I was helping others, that I had success, that I still was being able to put in a lot of time with my partner, who was to become my husband. And also that I'd be able to earn an income, because the ultimate goal would then be to leave teaching. And also I wanted to represent my own well-being here. And so this pose here for me represents both physical fitness as well as emotional well-being. So I added that in there nicely. And then down in this corner, I put in that savings like I was just talking about. The savings is going to allow me to then get the holiday home. So I put those right next to each other. And then I put in a couple of different places this idea of financial freedom. Because I wanted that to be related to work, of course. So I have wealth and abundance over here, which means more than just money to me, by the way. But the financial freedom right next to home sweet home was purposeful, because I wanted to have a bigger home than what we had at the time. And I also wanted to be mortgage free. So I wanted that financial freedom to be nicely placed between business and home. And then I had some ideas of both my dream home and holiday homes in here. And because I was a teacher, even though I was unhappy, I still wanted to do the best job that I could at teaching. So that's what Teacher of the Year represented for me. So let's now take a look at my 2018 vision board. So I'm showing you this so that you can see the differences. In 2017, I was really focused on all kinds of things, right? I had my personal life in here, I had my career life in here in a couple of different spots. And then I also had different things within my personal life, right? I had wealth and abundance in there. I had my health in there. And then I had ultimate goals, and then the smaller goals that I needed to have in order to reach these goals. So now in 2018, I decided to switch up my vision board, because I had reached a good majority of these. So not all of them, but still, I had reached a lot of these goals. We had a wonderful marriage, had the marriage ceremony, had the honeymoon, it was wonderful. We bought and moved into our new dream home, which was fantastic. And I actually knew that I wanted to leave teaching in 2018. So I really wanted to beef up the business part. So now we come over to the 2018 vision board, which what you can see here is all about business. I don't have any of my personal stuff on here, because for me, I already knew that, yes, there were some things. We don't have a holiday home yet, for example, and we're not mortgage free yet, for example. I wanted to focus on very specifically what were the things that I could do to get those things, to get the ultimate goal. So rather than having the ultimate goal in my face all the time, I wanted all of the strategies I would use to get there. And ultimately, I still wanted to have a successful business to be able to help others. And so I've got all the ways of doing that. Again, my business is in the center so that I remind myself, just in case I forget, that this is all about helping other people, right? And helping myself in turn. I've got speaking in here. I really want to focus on getting into television and radio and podcast interviews in 2018. So they played heavily, right? Having this here represented packed audiences wherever I spoke. Again, I've got that microphone in there just to remind me what that is. This represents for me not just the speaking engagement, but also a different type of microphone, which again reinforces the whole radio show and podcast idea. And then ultimately, I want to have a laptop lifestyle so that I can do my work from anywhere, right? The dream of a lot of different people. And the handshaking ones are to represent my coaching program, to show that I am actually working physically with somebody else, that somebody is relying on me, and that I'm giving my best in there. So hopefully that makes complete sense, and you can see a complete difference between the two. So again, this particular activity is a one-time activity. You don't need to fill out anything within your workbook. You're going to create this either by cutting and pasting or by actually cutting and pasting on the computer and print it out. You decide if you want to go as far as what I have done now and put it in a frame, but regardless of whether you frame it or just put it up with some blue tack, you need to make sure that it's in a place where you're going to see it regularly. I've had people pin theirs. They've made a really small one because they've got one very, very specific goal that they want. And so they've put a few different pictures of reaching that goal only, and maybe a couple of little smaller goals in order to reach that ultimate goal. And so it ends up being quite small, and they pin it to their mirror in the morning so that when they're doing their makeup or when they're getting ready, brushing their teeth, they see it, right? Doesn't matter. Wherever you've got it, just make sure it's a place that you don't actually have to put effort in to looking at it. Your eye is going to land there naturally. Okay? The movie visualization that we did yesterday is a really beautiful one. If you got on with that, this is a great way to help with your manifestation as well. So anytime that you feel that there's a new goal, or you perhaps feel that you are struggling with a goal, then go back to that movie visualization and go back to the vision board. You are welcome to change your vision board as often as you want. I tend to do mine annually, but it depends on how much progress I'm making with the board. There's no point of me keeping the same vision board if I'm looking at it every single day. If there's things I've already accomplished, I might as well replace those with some new goals that I have. So I hope that you enjoy this and you get as much out of it as I have over the years. Bless.